Competition. How can you beat your competition?
Amazon FBA is a world of constant change, fierce competition, and endless optimization. It's definitely a relentless pace that even a seasoned seller like me can still find a lot of things overwhelming. But what if I shared with you that there's an alternative way to success, and it doesn't just mean necessarily like more hard work, but actually finding stillness within the chaos that's going on. I know it sounds counterintuitive, right? But trust me, I've been there myself, feeling anxious, feeling overwhelmed, feeling stressed, feeling the burnout. And that was until I discovered the power of stillness. And what's even more fascinating about this is that, athletes, great leaders, great thinkers, artists, musicians out there have cultivated this quality of stillness within their work. In this book by Ryan Holiday called Stillness is the Key really changed my perspective about life and business. So by applying the principles within this book, I've transformed my business and generating over $2 million in total sales. So the question is, how do you find stillness, and what would be possible if you did find it? So as Ryan says in this book right here, in the world of business, especially with Amazon FBAs, everything is just so fast-paced that, obstacles just comes from different angles. You got sourcing and finding products, calling to wholesale suppliers and reaching out to them. You have your management of your cash flow, your inventory, you get your competitors, and not to even mention, you got Amazon's back-end issues that can come up anytime. So yeah, it can definitely get overwhelming. And instead of being able to enjoy a sip from a drink, it's kind of like we're drinking from a fire hose, and we just end up somehow fantasizing a lot of things, which, doesn't help because it just helps us get distracted. So imagine yourself in a very cluttered room, right? Like probably we all had that room when growing up, and, our parents would come in there and just trying to find one thing. My mom would always remind me, it's like, clean your room. And having grown up and matured, I was able to see the perspective, what my mom was telling me, just to clean up the room, because in order for us to make clear decisions, our mind has to be empty. And of course, emptying the mind, don't mean that you have to be a monk or something, but it could be simply just working small things like decluttering the product categories that you're selling. And that's what I personally did to simplify my business. Because when I first started, probably just like you, I was just trying to purchase all these different things that I could make money on and flip on Amazon FBA. So, I started with used textbooks and started buying baby products, started buying grocery products, beauty items. But at the end of the day, I was so scattered that I wasn't focused to get the information or specialize in a niche or category. So that was the shift or the change in my business. I applied the 80-20% Pareto rule. Basically what it means that 80% of my sales, total sales, comes from the top 20% of my products. So it was like going behind the scenes that it only made sense for me, and it should make sense for you to just focus on the items or products that's already selling. So the question is, how can you apply this strategy in your business? So here's a simple exercise. What you should do is list all of the products that you're currently selling and identify the ones that are not doing well. Rank them based on their sales performance. And this is where, you have to be honest, kind of like looking yourself in the mirror, where, okay, these products right here, the X, Y, and Z, have not sold within, the past 3 months, the past 4 months. Why not just like liquidate those? Yeah, of course, you might take a loss or two, but take that money, purchase products or invest in them that's currently selling for you. So remember that 80-20% Pareto rule. So a great software that can certainly do this is called Profit Cyclops. So if we are looking here on the screen, this is kind of like just the main dashboard. But if you go to return orders right here, this is a great metric that you should use in terms of your business, because with Profit Cyclops here, they show you which products you've sold the most, right? Like you can certainly filter it through here, how many it returns each month, right? Like on that order, the past 30 days, and what is the return rate. So if you cycle through the top products here, they have a 1% return rate, which is a great or excellent product for you. But what if, it's a 100% return rate? Now, the beautiful thing about Profit Cyclops here is if you hit details right here, it will actually show you the exact reason why the customer had returned the product, right? You're not just guessing, So if you click through under returns right here and read through the comments, and you can see exactly what is the product about. So there's a lot of changes that sometimes, you know, we don't expect it as, you know, as a seller, right? Like, but when someone purchases it as a consumer, they're gonna have feedback in there, but enough people don't like the product that definitely says something. And another option in terms here, you can just simply press and click any products right here, and it pretty much shows you right here. So 5 people out of 7 have found the price better somewhere else. So that could be as small changes here in order to avoid more returns for this certain product that we are looking at. And yeah, that's one of the ways that I've simplified my business, because, you know, doing YouTube, running my Amazon full-time, it's simply a balancing act, and, you know, it takes a lot of effort, especially with a lot of things that you can automate nowadays. We have so many AI technology tools, and what you can do is definitely start identifying things that you can apply repetitive tasks in terms of your business, right? Like, if you are a beginner, one great tool that you should start using is called a repricer. The ones I personally use is a Be Cool AI repricer, because if I'm going to sleep, I want to ensure that I'm still getting sales, right? So what the repricer will do is automatically reprice within the markings that I had put, whatever the minimum price I'm willing to accept and the maximum price. And the repricer will do its thing regarding, you know, whether I'm eating, whether I'm exercising, sleeping, doing whatever. That's the purpose of the repricer, because a lot of these things are so repetitive instead of you manually going it, and it just leads to a lot of focus and energy taken away from really what matters within your business. And I'm sure you've heard the acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid. So at the end of the day, business is already complicated. Why add another layer in order to, you know, complicate our business that we don't need? So part 2, Ryan talks about the spirit, aka bathing in beauty. And what's beautiful about it is that he shares stories from Anne Frank. And Anne Frank was stuck in the attic, you know, during World War II, and all the family had was this little window, and that became her favorite spot. And she would look into that window and just see what the beauty is all around her. And she wouldn't even forget that there's a war going on out in the world, just because she was able to see the beauty of whatever the unfortunate circumstance she's currently at. And this is what Anne wrote in her diary. She said, "Beauty remains even in misfortune. If you just look for it, you discover more and more happiness and regain your balance." And bathing beauty is a way to connect that is definitely larger than us, right? It's not just simply, you know, go out there and take a stroll in nature. Yes, that's nice, but also focusing on what exactly is going around you, because someone can just say go out in nature, but you're still on your phone all the time. Like, it kind of defeats the purpose, you know? But what you want to do is just observe exactly what's going on. You know, if you're walking outside, you know, notice the cracks on the street, right? Like, look at what's going on, the different models of cars driving by. So that is the practice that Ryan really wants us to do in terms of, you know, bathing in beauty. And of course, we've seen so many creatives throughout history that have used nature as their inspiration. You know, Steve Jobs did a lot of long walks within nature. J.K. Rowling, some say even Beethoven composed a lot of his works during outside and taking long walks in the woods. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's definitely a great practice just to take a break, you know, breathe in fresh air, just to get your body moving, because sometimes with a lot of work and stuff like that, it's really hard to be sitting still in a room and being able to create new solutions or a different angle to, you know, different problems, or again, just coming up with something creative coming back from the work you were just doing. The final pillar of stillness is taking care of your body. A healthy body equals a healthy mind, and that's pretty much required in terms of business, because Amazon FBA is going to be a marathon. It's not going to be a sprint, so there's no need for us to rush things, which can just lead us to, you know, aggravation, burnout, and a lot of anxiety. So what Ryan suggests in terms of the part 3 here is to find a hobby or a leisure. And Ryan suggests that having a hobby or a leisure, it just means you have a way to release your stress. And the great news here as well is that, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean exercise. Hobby or leisure can mean anything. You know, it could mean like gardening, playing video games, painting, playing an instrument, right? It could be whatever it may be, because that is the goal here, is to take yourself out from the work itself, especially in those days where you're just out of energy, you're coming to a burnout, is to have your heart at ease, or AKA just relaxes you in general. So that's why he means the hobby can be literally anything as long as it chills you out. Like for me, I picked up tennis, a couple months ago, and it has been a great changer, right? Like it had allowed me to give another set of focus in terms of my physical body, where before I was just running a lot and going to the gym. Yes, it's definitely better than not doing anything, but things can get monotonous, can get, repetitive and stuff like that. But what's challenging about tennis is that every time you go for a serve or just hitting the ball in general, you have to focus and track where this ball is going, or else you're gonna miss, or you're simply not going to hit it where you want it to be. It takes a lot of focus, especially when this ball starts to go as fast as possible. And yeah, of course, the level of concentration had transferred from tennis into my business, because it had allowed me to work a bit longer than what I was normally without as much distraction. Because in the world of tennis, when you're playing a match or just training, it just allows you to unplug all in all, and that's the only thing that really matters. And yes, building a successful Amazon FBA is definitely a marathon, not a sprint. You're not going to see, the results that you want, honestly, until it's going to be a few years. At least it has for me personally, and so has other Amazon sellers I've talked about. I've started purchasing products from, thrift stores, Goodwill, stuff like that. Now, eventually I was able to scale my business. Now I'm doing wholesale because I have more capital that I've reinvested throughout that time when I first started, 2.5 years ago. And yeah, just the hobby in general definitely helps you avoid burnout. And lastly, the best thing that you would want anyway is to enjoy yourself while you're taking the time off. So yeah, it might seem strange to slow things down and, take this stillness as a concept where we need to really focus on things outside the business, right? Not in the business. Yeah, given that you are betting on yourself, like doing a business, whether that's a side hustle to start or a full-time, you are already doing the hard work. That's already a given. But it's also good to remind ourselves, just like everything in life, that it's okay to take your time. Things will happen naturally, but just don't give up. Constantly do the things that really would move the business forward, even though it could be a little thing, but add that little thing every single day for throughout years. That's where you will see the changes. And it's like when someone trying to lose weight, right? Like you've seen the transformation from before and after, but like that didn't happen overnight. They were doing push-ups, when no one else is watching, when after a week, they're like, oh yeah, you've been going to the gym, you don't see any changes. So that's the same concept in terms of life in general or business. I mean, you don't need to know that. You know that it takes time to do things, a lot of things. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to learn how to find products, especially for wholesale for your Amazon FBA business, check this new video right here. Any questions, please let me know. Check out our Discord link down below, free newsletter. Thank you so much. Catch you in the next one.